Hello, welcome to SRIRAMs IAS. Myself, K. Shivesh, and in the series of discussion of history, today we will take a random topic, and that is very important, the partition of India. Usually, we say that the impact of communalism. So, communalism is basically a modern phenomenon, and after the advent of British, particularly the revolt of 1857, when the British shifted the policy very aggressively towards India. And if you trace the origin, then after the revolt of 1857, some British scholars, in order to describe the nature of the revolt of 1857, said that it was a Muslim conspiracy. Particularly, I would like to take the name of Outram. He said that since Muslims were the ruling elite before the advent of the Britishers, therefore, the Muslims conspired and to re-establish such a ruling elite. And that is the reason why there was a revolt. So after this comment, the relation between British and the Muslims had formally deteriorated. But when W. Hunter, he wrote a book, Indian Musalman, and he categorically put point of view that longevity of the British rule in India could be established only when if there is active participation of the British with the Muslims, or the collaboration between British and the Muslims. And after that, approach towards the Muslim had changed. And after establishment of Aligarh movement by the Sayyid Ahmad Khan, he was a pro-British. Although he was a good reformer, he opposed many evils in the Islam, and particularly the Muslim women. He was champion of the rights of the Muslim women. So, but Sayyid Ahmad Khan, he was against the establishment of Indian National Congress. According to him, it will increase the Hindu dominance in politics. But once the Congress established, therefore, the provocation of the communalism had further intensified with active collaboration of the British. The principal of the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College established by Sayyid Ahmad Khan was British, and British tried to infuse the communal mindset among the Muslims of India. Anyway, the first decade of the 20th century, when Viceroy Lord Curzon, Lord Minto, Lord Hardinge, they actively played a very aggressive role in policy of divide and rule. Particularly, the establishment of Muslim League, and then subsequently the grant of separate electorates. Partition of Bengal further added fuel in the fire. So partition of Bengal, then establishment of Muslim League, and then grant of separate electorates. Many Muslims had supported the partition of Bengal even after establishment of Muslim League in 1906. The partition of Bengal was supported because Muslims were getting separate province. But grant of separate electorates in 1909 under Morley-Minto reform, it is considered as seeds of Pakistan. And it was very open what is the policy of the British towards the Indian national movement, that how to create the Muslim separatism, and which was very much clear in the conversation between Morley and Minto regarding the separate electorates. It was said that by granting separate electorates, we are sowing the dragon's teeth, and harvest of which will be very bitter. So, by granting the separate electorates, we are sowing the dragon's teeth, and harvest of which will be very bitter. So, how far it is bitter, but not bitter than nationalism. So, British went ahead with the formula of separate electorates. Okay, fine. And at the same time, British was very much aware about the dangerous consequence of the separate electorates. Okay, fine. Congress, after the Surat split, was not able to function properly. Congress opposed but it was a very mild opposition. So it was easy walkover to the Britishers. Anyway, 1916 Lucknow session. You know, Lucknow session, it was a historic session, and which is also known as Lucknow Pact. Now, after the Lucknow Pact, both Congress and Muslim League decided to have the joint session. It is considered as a mistake because once Muslim League started using the platform of the Congress, so obviously Muslim League got opportunity to expand its wings with the help of Congress. Entire India, wherever there was a Congress offices, the Muslim League got opportunity to use the Congress premises and the Congress network to expand its wings among the Muslims. However, after suspension of non-cooperation movement, you can understand that the Lucknow Pact, which proved ultimately a very short-term honeymoon and which converted into divorce without marriage, because the 1922, when the Khilafat issue, when Gandhi decided to take back the non-cooperation movement, obviously it was withdrawal of the Khilafat movement as well. So many Muslims, particularly the religiously oriented Muslims, blamed Gandhi of negating the sentiments of the Muslims. So after suspension of non-cooperation movement, perhaps the isolation of the Muslims in the mainstream of the activities of Congress had already started. Then subsequently, Nehru report, Jinnah's 14-point formula. But the biggest setback that really the intensification of the communal sentiments in India came, 1937 election. 1937 election, it was watershed in the history of communal sentiments in India. So there was a provincial election. Of 1937. So in this provincial election, the performance of Congress, it was very encouraging. Okay, Congress was able to form government in 8 provinces, 8 out of 11, except Bengal, Sindh, and Punjab. However, the performance of Muslim League was dismal, worst. Even the Muslims did not vote for Muslim League. So therefore, there was a high grade of political frustration. You'll find that there were 33 seats in Sindh reserved for the Muslims. So in the reserved seats for the Muslims, Muslim League get only 3 seats. There were 84 seats reserved for the Muslims in Punjab. Muslim League got only 2 seats. So you can understand how much support Muslim League was having even in the Muslim constituencies. So therefore, the political frustration of Muslim League, it was intense. But moreover, Jinnah offered Congress to form the coalition government. Although Congress already had a majority, but Jinnah offered Congress to form the coalition government, and that too with the condition that the Muslim ministers in this Congress-ruled state will be nominated by Muslim League. Congress may nominate the Hindus. So all the ministers, the Muslim ministers in the Congress-ruled state will be nominated by Muslim League, and Congress may nominate the Hindus. So obviously Congress rejected the proposal. And thereafter, the Muslim League had started acute propagation of the communal ideas. Muslim League was able to reach to the middle class that this is a Hindu government in which interests of the Muslims are not safe. The role of some Hindu organization was also very reactive, particularly the Hindu Mahasabha and others started Gauraksha movement, and therefore the communal intensity further increased because of these 2 things. Anyway, when 28 months Congress had ruled the states, and then Congress government resigned because the British government declared India party to the war without consulting Congress. So British government declared India party to the war without consulting Congress. So obviously, the Congress government resigned after the Wardha resolution, and the resignation of the Congress was celebration for Muslim League, and Muslim League had celebrated this day as Day of Deliverance. Day of Deliverance. December 1939, the Congress government resigned and Muslim League celebrated it as a day of deliverance, Mukti Divas. So that is how the Muslim League was very much involved in the communal propagation. Okay, fine. Meanwhile, you will find that 1940 Lahore session of Muslim League. Lahore session of Muslim League, Pakistan proposal was passed. Two nation theory. Hindus and Muslims are not only two religion, but basically two nation. So two religion can coexist and two nation could not. So that is how the Jinnah was very much in the self-destructing mode if you look at the present condition of Pakistan. So Lahore session, the Pakistan proposal was passed. And demand of Pakistan, two nation theory. At the same time, the Muslim League gave support to the British in the Second World War and expected the reciprocal support to the Pakistan proposal. So that is how the Lahore resolution. However, the Congress rejected this Lahore resolution. You will see that after 1940s, there was continuous effort made by the Britishers to complicate the partition and complicate the achievement of independence, and then push the Muslim League for the Pakistan agenda. And that was a master stroke by the Britishers, because once the Pakistan proposal was put in front, obviously the nationalist leaders of the Congress was in back foot. So British wanted to complicate the independence of India just by putting Muslim League and the demand of Pakistan on the front and giving some oxygen all the time after 1940s. So after 1940s, you know the condition that when the Lithgow proposal was made by Viceroy Lithgow, because British was in tremendous pressure to take the support of India after astounding success of Hitler in Europe. Germany defeated France, Germany defeated Holland, Germany defeated Belgium. So Britain was in pressure, and that forced Britain to go for the conciliatory mode. And that is how the Lithgow proposal was passed. So Lord Lithgow. So here in the Lithgow proposal, you'll find that first time the British government explicitly offered the dominion status. Dominion status. Second, establishment of Constituent Assembly. Mainly constituted by the Indians, mainly constituted by Indians. But no constitution will be acceptable to the British if it is not acceptable to minority. This is called minority veto. You can imagine that how, on one hand, One hand, the British was trying to prove that we are there for the constitutional development in India. But on the other hand, minority veto was also put to appease the Muslim League. Muslim League welcomed the minority veto, but reiterated that partition is the only solution. Fine. So this is how the complications was made. On one hand, Constituent Assembly to frame the constitution for India, and on the other hand, minority veto. Subsequently, in Cripps mission also, when Stafford Cripps came, Cripps mission, then in the Cripps mission, there was a one step ahead. Dominion status for India? Yes, that was offered already, but what is the difference? This time British said that dominion status for India, but India would be free to join UN and other international organizations. So now the Cripps was talking about the complete dominion. So India would be free to join UN and other international organizations. Look at the difference. What is difference between the August proposal, the Lilithgow proposal, and this Cripps mission 1942? Okay, fine, dominion status. Second, constitution for India by the Indians. We will discuss about the format of the Constituent Assembly by the Indians. Now it became only Indians. Earlier it was mainly, but now it became only. Okay, fine, that was a good idea. But nothing immediate, all after the war. Every proposal was stick to the after the war, and meanwhile the Congress or the India should support Britain in the war. So after the war. So constitution for India by the Indians. Then next pattern is that is how to appease the Muslim League. So here the next episode was blueprint of partition. Blueprint of partition means if any province or the group of provinces not agree with the union may form separate constituent assembly. Look at, that is the reason why I said that this is a blueprint of partition. So British continuously pushed this effort, blueprint of partition. Any constituency, any province or the group of provinces not convinced to join the union may form separate constituent assembly for them. So that is how the blueprint of partition. So Cripps mission was rejected by the congressman. Gandhi called the Cripps mission as post-dated check, in which Nehru added the word on a crashing bank. Means that tomorrow there will be no England. So who will listen this offer? So tomorrow there will be no England, and then who will listen this offer? So post-dated check on a crashing bank. Nehru added the word. So blueprint of partition. Then subsequently the Quit India movement had started, and then Rajgopalachari formula and Gandhi Jinnah talk had failed. So meanwhile, the communal intensity and the continuous provocation of Pakistan by the Britishers, appeasement to the Muslim League, had created the worst ever scenario where there was absolute division in the population, and therefore the harmonious population of India, the advocator of the composite culture, had turned into such a dangerous stage of the partition of the population. Okay. Now look at, we have the Sri Rajgopalachari formula, then Gandhi Jinnah talk failed. Meanwhile, 1945 Webel plan. Webel plan. It was related to the Viceroy's Executive Council So Viceroy's Executive Council will constitute only Indians. Viceroy's Executive Council would constitute only Indians. In short, I am telling all these points. So only Indians means, suppose there are 12 members, then there will be 10 Indians. 10 Indians. Only Viceroy and military commander will be British. So out of 10 Indians in the Viceroy's Executive Council, 5 are caste Hindus. Caste Hindus, you understand? Representation from the various castes, depressed class and Sikh, and plus 5 will be Muslims. Muslims. So 5 caste Hindus and 5 Muslims. But Jinnah forwarded the condition that Muslim members in the council will be nominated by Muslim League. So obviously, Congress will nominate Hindus only. Muslim League wanted that Congress should be purely a Hindu organization, and Muslim League should be a purely Muslim organization. So obviously, Simla Conference failed, and once Simla Conference failed, obviously, Viceroy Babel himself came to announce the failure. So after this, veto power of Jinnah in the Simla made Jinnah a very towering personality among the Muslims. Means anything which is not acceptable to Jinnah, it is not acceptable to British. So that is how the Simla Conference had failed, and this is something which made Jinnah a very powerful leader among the Muslims. Okay, fine. So 1945-46 election for the Central Assembly and the Provincial Assembly. After a decade, there was election. So this election totally proved that what is the status of Muslim population in India or the communal situation in India. So in this election, the performance of Congress got 91% of the total non-Muslim vote. Total non-Muslim vote. However, Congress was able to form government in 8 provinces. Repeated the same performance, but 91% total non-Muslim vote. It was voted for Congress. Okay. And here the performance of Muslim League, which is something exceptional, 86.6% of total Muslim vote. Total Muslim vote. And that is the total Muslim vote that was voted for Muslim League. First time in 40 years, Muslim League may claim that Muslim League is a representative of the Muslims. So my dear, you can categorically say at this point of time, that partition of India had already decided in 1946. It was not in 1947, because the partition had accepted by the population altogether. So 91% of the total Muslim vote and 86.6% of the total Muslim vote. Muslim League was able to form government in Bengal and Assam. Bengal and Assam. Was able to form government in Bengal and Assam. Punjab, there was a coalition government of the Unionist Party plus Congress plus Akali. They formed the coalition government, but Muslim League got clear victory in the Bengal and Sindh. Bengal and Sindh. So clear sign of the 86.6% of the Muslim vote. So partition of India had already decided in 1945 to 46, because Muslim population had already voted for Pakistan, because in this election there was a high sounding slogan, Ladke lenge Pakistan, or if you will not vote for Muslim League, you will not get place in the Muslim graveyards. High sounding slogan was shouted. Okay, fine. Then at the same time, you will come to know that this partition plan was tremendous design of the Britishers. Now, Britishers were able to show that the Muslims demanded Pakistan. Now, Britishers will try to show that which area of India is Pakistan. And that is the reason why when the cabinet mission plan came after the mutiny, the cabinet mission plan, out of the provisions of the Constituent Assembly, the cabinet mission plan divided Indian states in 3 groups, and then Group B, Punjab, Sindh plus NWFP. Group A, UP, CP, Bihar, Odisha, Bombay, Madras. Right. So here UP, CP, Bihar, Odisha, Bombay, Madras. Here it is a Muslim majority area, the northwest and the northeast, and Muslim League will get clear mandate in the Constituent Assembly's election. And here is a Hindu majority area. Now, with this election, British will categorically remark that this is the area which actually potential of having the idea of Pakistan. So, I told you that after 1940s, the very strong lobby in India and very strong lobby in the Britain, they day night working for the partition plan. And since, so in this election for the Constituent Assembly, Congress got the highest number of seats. So Viceroy Webber invited leader of Congress party to form the government, but Muslim League started Direct Action Day. So Direct Action Day, that is sponsoring communal violence in support in demanding the Pakistan, and therefore the Muslim League went to an extreme communal propagation and communal violence. The top leader of the Muslim League was involved in this communal polarization. So Direct Action Day, 16th August 1946. Okay. So, finally, the decision of Italy that India would be free before June 1948, that is Italy's declaration, and then Mountbatten Plan. So, Mountbatten Plan already on the lines which is actually being cultivated since the beginning of communalism, and then 18th July 1947, Indian Independence Act was passed, and then 14th August and 15th August, the partition plan was implemented. So that is how the Pakistan was formed. It was a short and a brief story, but there are many facets which can be seen that what was the role of the Britishers in provoking the communal ideas, and how our nationalist leader failed to check the rising tide of communalism. So sometimes it was said that partition was less a success of Muslim League and more as a failure of the Congress, because Congress was the largest political party and Congress should have taken the ressortment of control over the communal sentiments being propagated by the Muslim League, because Congress having the much bigger Muslim leaders compared to the Muslim League in the initial stage. So how this partition plan was implemented? We can see, we can look, and we can examine again in a detailed format. Okay, thank you so much. We'll see it again.